Greetings, adventurers. This is DM Kurt, and I want to talk to you today about the new Wizards of the Coast book, Journey to the Radiant Citadel. Uh, so, this is kind of a big deal for a lot of people. This new book that's coming out is kind of thought of as a setting book, but not really. So, the premise behind it is that there is a city that lies in the ethereal plane, and it has doorways to multiple universes, multiple locations, multiple planes. And that in itself sounds a lot like Sigil from Planescape, except this is in the ethereal plane, it's a little different. And it has no factions vying for control with violence and crime and, you know, any kind of drama. Indeed, this is presented as a utopian city where there's no violence or conflict anywhere within it. And there's not even a police force. There's sort of a semi-police force called shield bearers that show up and non-violently deal with whatever trouble there is. I don't get that, but okay, so somehow there's no trouble, but people can show up and help you when there's trouble. But okay, cool. Brushing that aside, it is not meant as a replacement for Planescape, which still hasn't come to 5th edition, and probably won't, in my opinion. Might as well just grab up some of the older stuff and do conversions yourself. No, the bulk of this book is that it has 13 adventures written in it from levels 1 through 13. So if you need higher level adventures, there's really not much published, if hardly anything, by Wizards of the Coast for 5th edition. But it's an anthology of adventures. So far, I haven't heard of any of these adventures being really worth looking into. One of them, the first level one, you assist two competing clans of goblins who are trying to establish control over a night market somewhere. Okay, unless this is in the Underdark, are we forgetting that goblins are monsters? Horrible, vicious little monsters. Another one is literally a cooking challenge. Your characters get involved in a cook-off. Yeah, no, not gonna do that. There is one adventure with sort of, it's supposed to have a gothic horror in the American South feel, which, okay, you get this crazy haunting and it gets all creepy, and it's not Ravenloft, but it's the southern United States. Maybe, but I mean, we're at 1 out of 3 adventures so far being interesting. I think that rather than trying to compare this to Planescape, which ain't happening, and Sigil, which is not, I think this book would be best compared to Candlekeep, the Candlekeep Mysteries book, which wasn't bad. Honestly, wasn't bad. It had some stuff in there that was usable. I ran something out of there. It had a black flaming unicorn, you know, it had gone evil, and that was kind of this problem. And that was kind of metal, right? I mean, that was kind of cool. The artwork was cool for it. The Candlekeep setting, you know, it's the greatest library of that particular world. Was kind of interesting, although I thought it was dumb that you would actually have librarians, sages, whose prepared spell list would include Fireball. Fireball in a library. They did have a little line in that book that stated that fires anything larger than a candle would be immediately snuffed out. So either the fireball spell doesn't do anything, or that protective magic doesn't do anything in the case of fireball, and you get the immediate damage and destruction. No, that was bad choice. But overall, Candlekeep wasn't bad. because some of the individual adventures were good. In this one, the individual adventures, I'm not necessarily seeing it worth pre-ordering. If you see it on a bookshelf at a local game store, take a look and see if maybe you might want it. But I'm advising that it's just not looking worth it. Not until you get it in your hands and see the individual adventures. And even then, maybe you might want to just write your own at this rate. I guess the other thing to address is they are advertising that they selected only and only black and brown persons of color to be the writers. Okay, that means that you have specifically excluded white, Asian, Jewish, etc. people. Um, if you want to buy it simply to help writers of color, then I would recommend that you consider your money going towards not a corporate product, because remember, the writers got paid by the word and they didn't get paid a lot. The big money goes to the people in the upper offices. So if you want to support persons of color as writers and authors and whatnot, buy books that are directly from them, that they themselves are writing. And that's probably going to be mostly independent places, independent games. That's going to be self-published authors, anything like that. Not something that comes from the Wizards of the Coast Incorporated, a subdivision thereof of Hasbro Incorporated. But nevertheless, that's just my take on the Radiant Citadel. I just see it as a collection of adventures, much like Candlekeep. And I don't see the promise there. They link it together with this city that's not really much more than a meeting post. Now, the one good thing I will say about this Radiant Citadel is being a multiversal crossing point. Then it totally makes sense for the whole kitchen sink of every playable race possibly showing up there and crossing paths and everybody joining the same adventuring group, etc. I think that I've complained about the Mos Eisley Cantina effect before, and in here it actually fits, and that is not jarring. So I'll end on that positive note. DM Kurt, out.